Judgment time.
You're welcome, I guess.
Members of the jury.
There.
I really don't see what all the fuss is about.
Oh my God, the Scoleri brothers!
In favor of conviction.
You, Mr. Stark. You, buddy.
I am the law!
Good evening, freaks and geeks. Welcome to tonight's Geek Court. I'd like to introduce to you our defendants for tonight. We have Danielle and James.
Hi.
And you will be judged by Claire, Kelsey, and Gabe, and Bailiff Aaron. Now, before we start tonight's show, I have to give you a spoiler alert. If you have not seen the last season of Game of Thrones, first of all, what the hell is wrong with you? Secondly, just turn away. Just turn away. Let us begin with our first case. Game of Thrones Season 7 just finished. Who do you believe deserves to be on the Iron Throne? You have 30 seconds for your opening statement.
I want the judge and jury of this court to go into this very emotion-provoking topic without any biasm right now. I'm not going to tell you who has the most right to the Iron Throne. I'm going to argue who would be the best king on the Iron Throne. Tyrion Lannister has the compassion for people of Jon Snow, the unbeatable spirit of Daenerys Stormborn, and a brain that can be rivaled with only Varys now that Littlefinger is dead. Tyrion can see past every person's difference with little judgment, which makes him capable of ruling all of his subjects.
That was your opening statement.
Fairly.
Thank you very much.
I would like to see Sansa Stark on the Iron Throne. First and foremost, I would like to see a Stark on the throne, period. And I feel like of all the Starks, not even of the Starks that are left alive, just all the Starks, she possesses the best qualities of each. This season especially, she's proved that all the hardship she's been through has hardened her into a powerful and capable leader. She's able to command the respect of her peers. She's able to make well-calculated decisions, and she thinks out what she does. And most importantly, she has a passion to lead her people. Not to gain power, but to lead her people. And that's what makes a good ruler.
Very good. 30 seconds. Okay. Your rebuttal.
So I would like to say, first off, what are you smoking? Sansa has spent 7 seasons making mistake after mistake after mistake, being bullied by every single person possible, while Tyrion has continued to start being bullied by his family, move on, progress, make better decisions, move on, progress, become Daenerys' side. You know, he is overcome not only being the imp, not only being the failure of the Lannisters, but he's also Sansa's husband. So if Sansa's gonna rule, I mean, that puts him as king, and king is more important than queen, because all Sansa does is boo-hoo, cry, cry, and it takes her 7 seasons to learn one lesson and kill one person. You did one cool thing in 7 seasons. I rest my case. Sansa Stark sucks.
Okay, you had 7 seconds left, but that's fine. We'll take that. James?
Let's talk about the Lannister name for a second. Is anyone gonna respect another Lannister on the throne? And I mean, Westeros is getting a little progressive. It's allowing some women to take points of power, but a dwarf? No way. No one in Westeros is gonna follow a dwarf as their king. Unfortunately, it's just a reality of the landscape there. It's just not going to happen.
I have to stop you there. I believe the correct term is little person.
But what they call him in the show is either dwarf or imp. That's what I'm saying. Well, from the landscape within the show, they call him either dwarf or imp, and no one's going to follow that. Mm-hmm. Not only that, Sansa has proven that she hasn't just learned one thing. She's been through probably more than almost anyone in the show and come out stronger for it. She's more capable, and more importantly, Tyrion doesn't want to lead, which ideally sounds like something you want in a king, but not really. You want someone with a passion to lead their people, which Sansa has. Tyrion is much better suited as an advisor. It's because he doesn't have to make decisions. He has to give facts. He has to give wisdom. That's what he wants to do. Meanwhile, Sansa very much wants to lead. You saw her with Jon. She wanted to be, and she's proven she can do it.
So, yes, Sansa has been through I'm so sorry, Your Honor.
It's okay.
Sansa has been through more than many of the characters. I wouldn't say every character, because every character has dealt with their own hardships, including Tyrion. His entire family hated him. Tyrion can see past every person's difference with little judgment, which makes him capable of ruling all of his subjects, small, large, and even the hill tribesmen. Also, think of how amazing the brothels would be in the Seven Kingdoms if he was king. Also, drinking age would go really far down. Now, I would venture to say that I agree with the other defendant that Sansa would be a good queen on his side, but she is not smart enough to be a leader.
Bottom line is, of the two, Sansa brings more to the table. No one is loyal to Tyrion. Really, he's loyal to other people, but other than maybe Jaime, no one follows him. Meanwhile, Sansa already has several families that are her bannermen, and she has her sister, who is effectively the best assassin in Westeros. She has a knight who bested the Hound in battle, and her brother who sees freaking everything. She's got the strongest council. Meanwhile, so she's already bringing something to Westeros. The other can't say the same.
We're done. I do want to have a fact checked, please. Is Sansa still married to Tyrion? I thought that it was annulled because they never consummated, and also because she did get married to Ramsay.
So I had this is part. I was ready for you. Yes, they are still married. It was a legitimate marriage. They swore oaths to take each other as their husband or wife. It was performed pursuant to the faith of the Seven, a faith that Sansa adhered to, and the High Septon never dissolved the union. But it can be annulled by the future king or queen or what have you. I also looked it up, and the dwarfism community has voiced. This is on lpaonline.org, the Little People of America's website, that people with dwarfism prefer to be referred to as dwarfs, little people, people of short stature, statues, or having dwarfism, or simply, and most preferably, by their given name.
There you go.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, jury.
And we have a unanimous decision. While we do think that Tyrion Lannister proved to be a good politician and advisor, we vote for James and Sansa Stark.
And I agree, and I'll give you my input real quick, is that Sansa has suffered pretty much a lot. She does have a nice team backing her up, and the only concern I have is that she doesn't lead from anger or power, because she could become the next Cersei.
I agree with Your Honor that she is going to be next Cersei. She's insane.
And for Game of Thrones fans, that's just heaven to hear. Next, with the movie It opening this week, which other Stephen King TV adaptation should be made into a film?
My choice was Big Driver. I chose Big Driver because it's a little different from what we usually see adapted from Stephen King. It's not a horror movie. It's a revenge movie, and it's very different than what we typically see. It's also not as well known a Stephen King story as some of his others, so it's not something that people would know too much about. There was a movie made in 2014, and the movie wasn't the greatest, but the story was solid, and I feel like big Hollywood could turn that into something fantastic. I rest my case.
I would like to start my opening statements by saying I'm an adamant believer that Stephen King's works are almost always done best as a miniseries. But jurors, I will spend not tonight, but the rest of my life yelling from the rooftop that Rose Red was an exception to this rule. No one really remembers it well. It has no famous actors in it, no prestigious director, and the plot could be easily condensed to siphon out the cheesiness, while a remake with the right budget and written by the master of horror himself, Stephen King, who wrote the original, could really pump up the fear factor. Don't change the foundation, just touch up the paint.
Very good. Very good. Now, your rebuttals.
So you condense a almost 5 hour long miniseries into a feature length film.
Object. I don't believe it's 5 hours.
I said almost.
Don't make me hit you.
Reading the jurors.
Guys.
Between 4 and 5 hour miniseries into a feature length film. So you have to cut out a lot of the character development, a lot of the plot, a lot of what builds the nuance and the subtle creep of the movie. So it kind of just becomes a regular horror movie about people investigating the house that's. Wait, I saw this movie. It was called 13 Ghosts. It's been done. It's been done over and over and over again. The haunted house, the haunted room.
Revenge stories have been done.
Yeah, but not like this one. Not like the Big Driver possesses the qualities of Kill Bill with. Honestly, it's got some real emotional moments in it that kind of leads to something like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You could easily turn Big Driver into an action flick. You could turn it into a drama. There is so much you can do with Big Driver, but you would ruin Rose Red by turning it into a movie.
What is Rose Red at the core but a haunted house with a group of psychics led by a paranormal researcher accompanied by a blood member of the house descendants and the lovable big sister that they literally call Sissy? This is a tale as old as time, but unlike the rest of the horror supernatural genre, this is a haunted house story with an actual well-done backstory. Would this movie need to be longer? Would it need to be 120 minutes? Yes, to keep the plot and character development the original series contained. We still need to get to know Annie, the autistic girl with the strong, shining abilities, as well as the bonding and dissolution of the characters' relationships besides her. This would give us but this would also give us a chance to actually be scary, which the original wasn't. It wasn't scary at all. Give me decent actors, a director with a vision, and most of all, make it scary. Get me Guillermo del Toro and Stephen King's stat. I give the court my word this would be a hit. I rest my case.
Very good.
I love Rose Red. I truly do. It's honestly one of my favorite Stephen King works. And I'm also one of those really, really nitpicky geeks that doesn't like when characters aren't developed properly, and I don't see that happening with Rose Red in a feature-length film. I love it as it is, and to shorten it in any way would do it a disservice. Meanwhile, Big Driver leaves so much room to expand on and really deliver a strong female-led revenge story.
I would like to say that the other defendant's case mostly lies on just pointing out what's wrong with Rose Red in my argument, while not making his own points. But I would also like to say that this was originally written for the screen. It was written to be 4 hours long, not 1,300 pages of a Stephen King masterpiece. This was written for TV, and it could be condensed very easily. There's tons of cheesy shock value. There's scenes that are too long. Honestly, there are certain characters that we got overly developed that we didn't give a crap about. Big Driver might be great.
You're done.
So I fact-checked a couple things. The psychics in a haunted house, I believe, was first done by Shirley Jackson in 1959 in The Haunting of Hill House.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Then followed up in 1971 by Richard Matheson in Hell House, which Richard Matheson's a fantastic writer if you've never read. And I had two little facts. Rose Red was, in fact, written for screen by Stephen King. And Big Driver was a novella that was in the collection Full Dark, No Stars.
Mm-hmm. Take that into consideration, jury.
We, the jury, are unanimous. We all agree that Rose Red sounds like the best option. I want to start out by saying neither of these sound very interesting to me, but even less so do I want to see another Kill Bill. So, yeah. And Wingate was super passionate, and she made it sound appealing. So.
Also, I would like to say that I have the jurors' names, so I can hunt them down. They're not anonymous.
Jesus.
And
is that tampering the jury? I don't know.
That definitely is. But see, I don't think that's necessary because I think you made a very good argument. And not only that, but I have penchant, you'd like to say, for the paranormal. So I would love to see Rose Red. So thank you. Thank you both. And the decision goes to Danielle. So, guys, 1-1. And here is the tiebreaker. When Hollywood fails to cast minorities, is it then the actor's responsibility to turn down a whitewashed role?
We had decided that I would argue the point, yes. It is an actor's obligation to turn down this role. This is not just about being together as a people. This is not just about trying to better the world and how we view other people. This is also about just trying to be honorable in this is an art. This is supposed to be an art. You're not supposed to just take a paycheck and be like, oh, I know that this was actually supposed to be done this way. It was supposed to be set in this place.
I forgot that wasn't a minute. I'm sorry. That's just your opening argument. James?
So don't get me wrong, morally, sure, but the reality of the situation is not every actor can afford to turn down a role. Master of None, the Netflix series, touches on this excellently because it's about Indian actors and how they perceive being casted as roles where they have to do exaggerate their stereotype and all that. The reality is, like I said, not every actor can afford to do that. Really, it comes down to the writer and casting director to make sure those roles are casted correctly. At the end of the day, that's where it lies. I rest my case.
Oh, good. Your rebuttals.
So as much as it is the responsibility of the casting director and the writer to write and direct this and cast it properly, it is also the actor's obligation. Yes, it is true. Not everybody can afford to do that. I'm not asking somebody who's only had one extra role to do this. I'm talking about the big name actors, the Brad Pitts, the Scarlett Johanssons, all of them. They can get together. They can say, this is what should happen. We should stop whitewashing these movies. They can be amazing. Let's only cast, American people in American roles in actual, animes that are set in Japan. There are still roles for white, for black, for Hispanic, for everybody. Just work together. I rest my case.
Okay.
The problem, once you approach the scenario, the problem is when you start pigeonholing to such a strict rule like that, you also kill the ability for roles to evolve. Because if you make it so that actors can only play the race that the character was originally intended to, we would never have had Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. We would have had the ultimate Nick Fury, but that's not the original. If characters aren't allowed to evolve, they would be pigeonholed that way, and we wouldn't be able to reverse a lot of the racism that happened when these roles were originally designed. A lot of these characters were designed when it was powerful to be a white male. Now everyone deserves that power, and everyone deserves to shine. So when you pigeonhole it like that, it really restricts where you can go.
Objection! This is about whitewashing.
You're
not
right.
Changing a white character to a different race.
Sure.
It's about whitewashing because everything
true.
right now is being whitewashed.
I agree, but that doesn't always whitewashing. The term whitewashing is negative, but a white actor doesn't always necessarily mean that it's bad for the role.
We're done. Any fact checking? There's a lot.
This one's tricky. I just have. So I tried to get a definition of this term, and here's what I've got for you. Whitewashing is a solution of lime and water or of whiting size and water used for painting walls white. But the definition for cultural appropriation whitewashing is a casting practice in the film industry of the United States in which white actors are cast in historically non-white character roles. So that's it. There's a lot of times it's happened, but I would be too long to list.
Okay. One of the things I want to bring up is many times the reason there's whitewashing is because they want to bring a A-list actor into the film to make more money. So it may not just be the casting director or the writer's choice for a cast. It could be production, the producer themselves, trying to get a bigger bang for their buck. That's all I wanted to add to this situation. Jury?
As the three of us have come to a unanimous decision in that James wins this argument, because we believe that it is, yes, many people's option and defense to be able to change things, but it is about the evolution of the actors and the evolution of how film is made. So, James wins.
I would like to add, however, that it should be applauded when an actor, like what happened with the Hellboy situation, notices that a wrong is done and puts in effort to correct it. That should be applauded, but I don't think it's necessary.
I would also like to say that I originally agreed with his opinion, and I thought this was the easier point to argue, so you earned it.
Well, I'm going to give you half a point. I don't care. Half a point.
Whose line is it anyway?
So now, speedster round. Get the sorting hat ready.
So scared of this thing.
Why?
Oh man.
Oh, it's easy.
What this thing did to another contestant is terrible.
Shall I ask a question first?
Yeah.
Okay. If you had the magic ticket from The Last Action Hero, which movie would you choose for your best vacation? Okay. Let's start.
Dude, that's way better.
Since James won, Let's start with James.
Sure. By the way, the magic ticket just let him go into the movie.
Okay.
She didn't see the movie.
No, she has not seen Last Action Hero.
You lost.
It's a great
half
movie.
a point.
My point is Titanic. I would only advise this if you're a strong swimmer. However, the main benefit of this is it's not often you get to experience a literal moment in history. This is something that it's a historical event that you get to be there for. You get to see at least you get to see James Cameron's version of how it really happened. But you can't deny that it's one heck of a heart-racing experience.
Okay, we're done. Danielle?
So I'm defending Jurassic World. I'm just going to say this. Dinosaurs. There's freaking dinosaurs. And in the newest one, there was Margarita World or whatever. Jimmy Buffett was in it. I'm also going to point out that just because one day there was like all of these bad things that happened, doesn't mean that like half of the day when the bad things weren't happening couldn't be amazing.
Good point.
Like, also just hang out with the Raptors, and Chris Pratt is really, really attractive. He's a very attractive man. Would you not want to spend a day with Chris Pratt?
I would.
Excuse me. Go for it.
One time it went wrong. InGen doesn't have a great track history with keeping the dinos in their cages. It really doesn't go well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Titanic is a safe experience, but you know what you're getting into. You know it's a boat that's sinking. You get your butt on a life raft and you're good.
You're done.
More people made it out of Jurassic World when you see the end scene than they did out of Titanic. If you were not an extremely rich white woman with a child, you were dead. Oh, unless you were Billy Zane and then you had spit in your face.
Okay.
I got nothing on this one. I mean, I don't know what there's to check
How
other
do
than
you fact check dinosaurs?
I believe Jurassic World's in the future, so you might at least have an iPhone 20 or whatever. And in Titanic, you'd die. So if you're suicidal, that's the choice.
Jury?
We have reached a verdict, Your Honor. Great points all around. James, you're right. Titanic, a great experience as far as a moment in history, heart racing. You can get on that life raft, but we are unanimous for Wingate on Jurassic World because there is a Margaritaville there. And only one day went bad. Most people made it out, and you get to hang out with Chris Pratt.
Also, Nick from The New Girl. He was super hot and super dorky.
If I may, I also vote for Jurassic World.
Okay.
Let's all go to Jurassic World.
It's all good. We're all going to Jurassic World. Next one. What was the biggest Oscar snub? Oh, goodness.
Oh, God!
Okay.
Who goes first?
Danielle will go first this time.
I'm going to choose Adam Sandler and Little Nicky. Just think about it. He plays half angel, half demon. All amazing.
Spoilers.
All amazing. Okay, he falls in love, he saves the world, and Ozzy Osbourne's in it. Also,
we're done. 10 seconds.
My point is on Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the movie had some problems. However, this might be one of the few moments where we see Adam Sandler go outside of his comfort zone a little bit and try to and try to do something a little different. Albeit, it might not have won, but it should have gotten points for originality.
Adam Sandler and Little Nicky. The dog talked. His roommate was amazing. They had those two stoner guys. His mom was an angel. The one, like, they even had the guy from the other Adam Sandler movies. They all tied together, and Popeye's chicken. He also manages to look like a little half-demon child with his little lisp. I was harder than being a woman.
Okay. Rebuttal?
Yeah, but if we've noticed something is that when Adam Sandler was working with a team, his movies were good. And the more and more control he had, the less good the movies got. Which means that none of that belongs to Adam Sandler. Everything in Jack and Jill belongs to him. He deserves all the credit for that. That is 100%
That's
his.
Okay, I think we're
not
done.
a point.
Yeah.
I object to that. That's not a point.
I think we're done with the whole topic. I mean, okay, we're done with this. Any fact checking necessary for this at all?
Yeah, just going by Rotten Tomatoes, Little Nicky's sitting at 22% and 56% with audience, and Jack and Jill's at 3% and 36% with the audience. So I don't know if that helps.
Jury, what say you?
We, the jury, are unanimous for little Nicky, strictly due to Popeye's chicken.
Popeye's chicken is freaking awesome.
Danielle wins. So the next question is, what was the best casting decision?
So my my point is Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell. Now look, we all know the problems with that movie, but the reality situation is she's got the action chops. For all intents and purposes, she should have been able to pull that off. The casting was not the problem here. Sure, they should have casted someone Asian, but it wasn't Scarlett Johansson's fault. She had everything to make that role great.
I am not going to argue that Scarlett Johansson has the chops to play that role since she's played it about a dozen other times. Now, my point is about Justin Chatwin as Goku. Now, he never did anything ever again, probably, but he got that Kamehameha down. He did it, and he put his effort in. It wasn't his fault.
Okay, rebuttal.
I feel like I don't need to knock Justin Chatwin as Goku. He did that all on his own. The reality situation is that Scarlett Johansson, again, like I said, it really wasn't her fault. And the parts of that movie that were good, that were major, she brought that to the character. The parts of the movie that weren't, that was the script. Anyone who knows the series can see that. The reality, again, it wasn't her. She was casted way better in that position. That's my case.
Okay.
I'm just going to point out that in the long scale of things, more people will remember Justin Chatwin as Goku because honestly, she's going to get forgotten. This movie, Ghost in the Shell, give it 2 years, nobody's going to remember it. It was an okay, sort of okay movie. Now, Justin Chatwin as Goku in Dragon Ball Evolution, that's forever.
Okay,
I didn't break the court.
Bailiff, please deal with
There we
this.
go. I got
Breaking the set.
Justin Chatwin was in a bunch of stuff after Dragon Ball Evolution, but I think literally only Chips came out in theaters and was a turd. So I don't know if that helps or hurts Wingate here. And then just that the writer of Ghost in the Shell, one of three, but is this guy whose name is Jamie Moss, and or he or she has written Hunter Killer, Safe House 2, Street Kings, and Ghost in the Shell. So not anything. That's it.
I don't think any of those facts help the case.
We have come to the conclusion that Ghost in the Shell.
Very good, James. Very good.
In that,
I'm
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
That's bias. That because they like Scarlett Johansson in that role, they chose that.
Did I ask you?
I know.
I care? I'm sorry.
This is a kangaroo court.
No. We're doing things by the law. And who's the law? Who's the law, people?
You're the law.
You are the law.
Thank you. One last sudden death question. In which universe would you rather be a wizard in? Lord of the Rings, You Shall Not Pass, or Wingardium Leviosa, Harry Potter? So,
I'll take
ahead,
Lord of
James.
the Rings.
All right.
I'll
Lord
take
of the
Harry
Rings.
Potter.
Go for it. So we're going to start with Danielle. No, you were first last time.
I'd rather be a wizard in Harry Potter's world because the Lord of the Rings seems like hell if you think about it. They don't shower regularly. You have to scavenge for food. You have to hunt for everything. People are constantly at war. You have to pick sides constantly. You could be a wizard in Harry Potter's land and just be a chef or an artist and just make beautiful things and go to Hogwarts and go to this prestigious school. Like, who wants to fight battles every day to survive?
Did you watch Harry Potter?
Everybody didn't have to be that way.
True. This isn't
There were
That's true.
plenty of wizards that were living on the bystander side.
Okay. James, go ahead.
Pretty much, if you reach the point where you are a wizard, a legitimate wizard in Lord of the Rings, you're basically either Dumbledore or stronger. That's every wizard in Lord of the Rings. Okay? The reality situation is if your goal is to achieve true, pure magic, that's where you do it. Sure, it's hell, but wizards have a tendency to survive. I mean, really, Radagast is a perfect example. Sure, he smells. He's your perfect example who doesn't bathe, but he's powerful. That connection with nature, nothing in Harry Potter connects.
So yes, it's amazing to have that kind of pure magic. But do I want to live in a world that I have to be afraid because I'm one of 3 wizards in the entire world, so everybody wants to come after me and murder me? No, I want to live a comfortable, happy life where I can have a beautiful family and I can practice the art, and you don't have to be the strongest person in the world to survive. I can know that my family will live comfortably and happily near me with my protection wards. They don't have to run through everything and like hang out with hobbits and their dirty feet.
This is which world I would want to be a wizard in. I can have a happy, safe family right here on terra firma. If I'm choosing to be a wizard, that's because I'm seeking that connection with magic. So that's definitely going to be Lord of the Rings. I'm not going in to have a safe, happy wizarding world life. I'm going in to like do some cool mystical shit. That's what I want. So it's got to be Lord of the Rings.
Objection. Okay. They do plenty of cool mystical shit in Harry Potter world. They live comfortable lands with wonderful fashion, but they also do tons of...
Hey, you're just arguing now. No.
That's it. That's it. So, any fact checking that we need, baby?
Yeah, sorry. I just
or
need
just
this.
your 2 cents.
There are 5 total wizards in all of Middle-earth. They're, Gandalf and Saruman are 2, and there's some blue ones and Radagast. And then... in Harry Potter, it is stated that there are 10 times more muggles than wizards in the world. So if the global muggle population was about 5 billion in the 1990s, that would mean that the wizard population was 500 million, which is insane. That's it. Just a lot of wizards.
I want to
there.
be among my people.
That's very cool.
Stop arguing after the time is up.
And my jury, what do you think?
We are 2-1 in favor of Wingate. Okay. So just making sure we had our facts straight on that. Okay. So both points, great points on both sides, but Judge, it's in your hands.
I think I would rather be part of, Wingate. I would rather be part of Harry Potter. If this is a subjective question and a subjective choice, that still doesn't mean you win anything, sweetie pie. I hate... that's how the cookie crumbles for you, darling. And James is the winner of Geek Court for tonight. Yeah, James got the point. Easily. And awesome. That concludes today's proceedings for Geek Court. I want to thank you all for letting me be a part of it. That's me, Indiana Jones. I also want to thank our wonderful jury here of Claire, Kelsey, and Gabe. And of course, Aaron as my bailiff. And most especially, I want to thank James and Danielle. Have a good night. Keep it geeky and keep it freaky, guys. Good night.
See you, Cass.